The GLHFs are reigning in the chat, and it seems like we will be going live with the first official warm-up, and I think we can stay with Elcon here. Or I guess not. So going back to Mika, and now we see why this is called PM3. We see some a little preview of the new blocks. And looks like the maps that will be played now are the maps that we haven't seen in round 1. At least that's the case for this one, and damn. I'm not sure if we've seen La Fontaine de Sel. But still following Mika in this warm-up round. Of course, as Taraaf says in the chat, it's gonna be 3 maps, 4 rounds per map, and the top 16 will advance into round 3. Oh, Mika getting that part very juicy. Gets the full grip there. And Red now is in the lead again. But it seems like we do have some different trajectories here. We have some different routes. So this one might be a bit hard to follow. And this is yet another longer map, let's say. With a very nice section there. I really like that little bounce where you gotta jump over the wall. Mika does it very nicely, and really showing us what the players are supposed to do on this map. So there you go, warm-up ends, and it's time to start off with round 2. We can stay on board with Mika. Let's see if he can continue his great performance from round 1. Can he start round 2 off on the right foot? Looks like that might not be the case, as he has to go full on to the right just to make the transition. He's 31st right now. Almost last. Gets a terrible start. But of course on maps like this anything can happen until the very end. So let's not count him out yet. He's already jumped up to 26th place. Does that section again, very nice. We'll go up to 25th now. But of course players aren't making as many mistakes as in round 1. Most of these players are trained to a decent level, and we're certainly seeing a higher level right now. Mika getting that very smooth, goes all the way up to top 10 right now, winning positions in pretty much every turn. And wow, that was just amazing to watch. He goes all the way up to 4th in a blink of an eye, and we see Rin with a huge mistake there in the lead, and Mika overtakes everyone there. It's only Elcon really contesting him, but Elcon gets a very sloppy landing. Mika is pretty much alone right now. What a turn of events here. From almost dead last, Mika looks like he's gonna win the round even. He has over a second of an advantage. Bit of a wonky landing, but manages to stabilize. His gap was big enough to keep Elcon behind him, but Elcon is really pushing it. And Elcon, with a very tight jump in the end, gets almost no airtime, or a minimum airtime that he can get there. And wins the round with Mika in 2nd. But amazing comeback by Mika. From 31st to 2nd in the end. Very impressive to see, and really showing what he can do even if he makes an early mistake. Jojo just finishing in 31st, which means that we have one player who hasn't even finished, and that's Rin actually. Rin, we know, is a very good player on maps of this type, so he must have made an insanely big mistake for him not to be able to finish. So I think we can follow Rin for this one, and let's see if he can bounce back. Gets a pretty good start, isn't that far behind, barely makes the jump. But he's still in it. He's losing positions in pretty much every turn. But as long as he doesn't make a big mistake, he will be fine. That's, I think, the most important thing in a format like this. You just want to get consistent top 10 positions, and then you'll easily make it into the next round. That's exactly what Rin is doing right now. Not taking any risks, just doing it safe, and it's paying off very nicely as he goes up into the lead even with that sick jump. Let's go just a bit behind to Lasnox and see how this fight for the top positions unfolds. Needed there with a little bounce, but he will survive. Will everyone get the jump? Ooh, big mistakes there. Rin died, but Elcon and Lasnox survive. Lasnox just barely makes it. Elcon right now with a huge gap up top. No problem there for Lasnox, and we see some huge gaps here, with Elcon having a lead of almost 2 seconds. Then Shad is a full second behind Lasnox. Nida with a huge risk there, it really does pay off for him. Goes all the way up to second place, and he will end up second. But Lasnox, he just didn't make the ending jump, and that costs him 4 positions, finishing only in 6th in the end. So Rin this time gets 28 points. Sure, he will be well happy with that. Still not enough, of course, to get into the top 16, so let's take a look at Deadly Cry, who's right now just holding on to that 16th position. Right now he's barely in it, but of course there's still a long way to go. Gets a pretty poor start, kind of the same as what Mika did in round 1. Had to take the jump very safe in order to even survive. So he's only in 27th right now. Wins a couple of positions there. Doesn't really risk too much, as we've seen Elcon making a big mistake there, which will take a huge dent in his points. And Akashi with the first rage quit of the round. He's a player who barely made it through round 1, and that's really disappointing to see, because the guy who got 17th maybe would have given proper effort in this round and not rage quit, but nothing we can do about that, as we see Deadly Cry taking it very safe here. He goes for the outside road even. Not sure you even need to do that, but better safe than sorry, I guess. As we're coming up to this very difficult section, Deadly Cry going safe yet again, is not going for the jumps. Is taking the full road. Really doesn't want to make a big mistake, really wants to avoid all those respawns. And seems like it worked out kind of nice for him. I mean, he did win a couple of positions, but then again, 20th is not gonna be good enough if he wants to progress into round 3. So I think at some point he will have to take some risks, as we see a couple of players in front of him making huge mistakes. He will take profit of it, and jumps a bit too much to the left there, which means he gets a flatter jump and barely makes it. Of course you want to jump to the right, so that you can make the jump a lot easier. Kind of what MVN did, even though he didn't have that much speed. But had he jumped like Deadly Cry, he would have surely Deadly Cried. So let's actually watch Lasnox. I think he's a very capable player, but right now only finds himself in 19th position. I'm sure he's not gonna be happy with that at all, as he touches the wall right before this short full speed section. That's gonna be very costly for him. Drops down all the way to 2030 and he's already over a second behind. So not a great start for Lasnox. But players are flying out of the map left and right. So it looks like as long as you don't make a big mistake, you're pretty much fine in this round 2. Which is exactly what Lasnox is doing right now. Just doing it safe. Not respawning, not flying out. And he's already in top 10. You can see just how high he went in the jump, and it actually pays off for him because he goes up all the way to 6th. Bit of a wonky tech turn, but Splug does it even worse. So he will go up to 5th even. We see the usual suspects in front. Rin, Mika and Alcon. Ice! They're ending up in the poles, but Lasna gets it even worse. And doesn't even make the little jump from the road onto the road. And he even has to respawn. Lasnox is not having a fun time on this map at all. We've seen him fail this particular section in round 1 as well. And right now he's only in 17th, which doesn't really help his case. He needs some big boy points if he wants to get in that top 16. I don't see anyone respawning, so he will remain in 17th right now. However, he somehow wins 2 positions in the end. Apparently people can't do the ending jump. So that might help him a bit, especially given that Zero didn't even finish. And he retired even. That is something I did not expect. Zero right now down all the way to 25th position. A player we've seen doing very well in cups of this sort. But right now, it's not looking good for him. A deadly cry, saying he hasn't trained the respawn way. That is not what you want to do. So again, let's spectate some of these guys who are really in danger here. Let's see what this guy is doing. Shaga W Siak. And this is of course another map that we haven't seen yet. So interesting turnaround there. Looks like the majority of players aren't having that many issues here. For now, doesn't look to be as difficult of a map as the previous one. Because in the previous one we saw people dying left, right and center. And compared to that, this is fairly tame. Some air control needed in that section. Looks like WCX survives nicely. Then using the booster there to gain some speed and then make it through the next section. Interesting mapping, definitely. Must be enjoyable to play. So then another turnaround where you don't want to drop too many gears. Otherwise you're gonna have some issues in this section. And then coming up to the end here, where you want to make it onto the upper road. And then just jump into the finish, which is here in the water. So now we know what this map is all about. And let's stay on board with WCX or Shoga. Don't know what's the team here and what's his name. So let's see if he can maybe claw his way back up to a top 16 position. Didn't do overly great on map 1, but he's still in it, of course. Especially in a format where you can win so many of these big points when you get into the top positions. So tries to avoid all of those red blocks there. Doesn't really manage to do it, so he will drop down all the way to 17th. Now on to the freewheeling. Want to get to the next CP as early as possible. Shaga doesn't really struggle there, but doesn't do it the best either. Tankrum right now with a really nice lead already. As we see, I think Askip just clipping the hole a bit. But manages to survive. Shaga right now in 18th position. Fighting with Askip, Niti and Zero. I think all of those are his direct opponents for that 16th place. Let's see if he can make this. Yes, he does. And he gets even a lot more airtime than he needed. So does it much better than he did in the warm-up. We see Fontaincock with a very sloppy landing. Will give Shaga another position to gain. Oh, and the players are having huge troubles here. But Shaga manages to survive, even manages to make it onto the upper road. But for some reason decides to save the end. Maybe he knew he didn't have enough speed for the normal finish. I guess that's the risky finish then. So I guess that was a good decision making then. Because personally I don't know how much speed you need in order to make the jump. I mean, for me it looked like he would have definitely made it, but gotta give the benefit of the doubt to him. He is a player here. So with that 15th place he actually drops down a position. So let's switch to Jonah here, who is on the verge of going out. Right now he is in that 16th place. Also needs another top position to solidify his position in this round 2. Doesn't get a good start either. Already over a second behind. But does go up a few positions. Doesn't make any mistakes. As we see the usual French horn. I think we can hear that one in pretty much any of these cups. But Jonath doing well so far. Still fighting for a top 10 position in the round, which would surely help him a lot. Fontaincock, I believe, with another mistake in this section. And Jonath goes up all the way into 10th. Goes for a little ramp cut. Gets it okay. Not the best, but not the worst definitely either. So let's see if he can get the end properly. Niti, I think, crashes. Won't have enough speed for the upper one. Jonath barely makes it. And let's see which finish he goes for. Oh, he makes it. But it does pay off. He finishes in 9th. Because he took the big risk in the end and it did pay off. Which tells us that as long as you can make it onto the upper road, you should have enough speed to just barely make it onto the so-called risky finish. So good job by Jonah there. And that 9th place is certainly gonna help him a lot in his quest for round 3. Let's go a bit further down. Let's see what the Zero is doing. Because it seems like he's not trained at all. Or maybe he's just choking. Hard to say. But anyway, he gets a good start this time. And as I say that, he makes a complete mess of that turn. Goes super wide and allows around 20 people to pass him. It's already almost 2 seconds behind over this freewheeling section. Drops down another position and goes really wide in that turn. I don't know why. So right now only in the 23rd. And we're around about halfway through round 2. So he needs to step it up very quickly if he wants to survive this round. Oh, one player there on his roof. Not what you want to do. Let's see if anyone will make a mistake here. A lot of players do, Zero being one of them. And we see quite a few respawns there. So Zero again, not having a good round. This is nowhere near good enough if he wants to survive. Only 17 right now. Can he get a good bounce? Not really. He's not gonna have a lot of speed. But he barely manages to make it onto the upper road, which should be good enough, but his aim is not the best. And the finish is only in 18th place. Again, doesn't really help him, but on the other hand, we see Mika with a beast of a time. Goes under 129, and we can see no other player even has a 128. So Mika really pushing it right now. Of course, I will spectate him later on. Right now, I think it's a lot more interesting to see who's on the verge of going out. So let's go with Zoblot. Or Zolbot, as he's changed his name, I think. He is in 17th. So he will need to step it up if he wants to survive. This is round 4 on map 2, I believe. So if he fails this one, then he only has one map left to save himself. He gets a much better start than any player I've spectated on this map. So that's a good sign already. Kind of in the thick of it right now. We see Ice with a huge lead, but other than him, players are closely packed, with Lasnox and Elcon fighting for the second place. Zolbot doing very well in the round. And let's see if he can just keep it up. Goes a bit wider. He wants to ensure that he can make the jump. Smart. Very smart there. It does pay off, and he is in 4th right now, fighting with a Kran hit. Again, not the best turn, but I'm not sure he's gonna be too fussed about losing just one position, because if he stays in top 5, he's surely gonna be thrilled with that. So Rin with an interesting end. Not sure he meant to do that, but that will cost him 2 positions, and Zolbot actually finishes in 2nd place. That is gonna be huge for him. Splak, on the other hand, having to go for the safe finish. So let's see what that means for the overall scoreboard. Dieg here not able to finish. He's in 19th. That is terrible for him. And Jonath has constantly been in this 16th position. He's really living on the edge through this whole round 2. So I think all of these guys are well in. Elcon right now leading the charge, with Rin in 2nd after that horrendous start where he didn't even finish. Really bounced back on map 2. So I would say all of these guys are in, unless they make a real mess of it. I think top 4 have nothing to worry about. And all of these guys are still well in danger, because the Danny is on 168. So if he just gets one really good round, he can really put the pressure on all of these guys from like 10th position to 16th. So let's follow him through this warm-up and maybe even the first live round. Because right now he's doing rather well. Kind of in the middle of the fight. No. Aurel is not playing. You can see the whole player field here. From 32nd. And these guys. And these guys, I guess, are the favorites to win. Only 32 players left, and everyone is on this server. So continuing with the Danny here. Doing fine in the warm-up, doing fine. I think he would be happy with the 12th place. Maybe just to boost his confidence a bit. Heading into the last couple of rounds on this map and on this round 2. It's really coming to crunch time right now. All of these players in danger really need to step up if they want to continue their journey in this cup. Of course, there is money on the line. First place will win 25 euros, second 15, third 5, and the fourth 5 as well. So, let's see who's gonna do the best in round 1 of map 3 in the overall round 2. Little flip here. Will everyone survive? Looks like the egg with a mistake, Niti as well, and Danny. Huge mistake there, will push him back all the way to 27th. So he needs a big comeback, otherwise he is gonna be in a big mess. We see Shaga WCK leaving second rage quit, I believe, of this round. So that does make life easier a bit for all these other players who are trying to make it in the top 16. So I think we can move up a bit. Let's see what Spirit is doing. Saw him in CPs, he's in 22nd right now, 21st even. Also another player who's out of it right now, but could make it if he plays really well on this map. Has to go for the slow ramp, and that will cost him so many positions here. Also not having a good time in this round here. Down to 23rd right now, and needs top class ending if he's gonna win any points towards his direct competition. Decent slide there, but doesn't exactly win on any of these guys. Some mistakes by Jonah there and Zoblot. It's still not enough for Spirit, but Spirit will overtake some of these other players. And let's see, can he make the zigzag properly in this end? Doesn't crash. Allows one guy to pass him, but he does pass a couple of pairs himself, and will end up in 18th. Not exactly what he needs, but not terrible either. With Mika winning another round. And you can see in the locals just how far away he is of everyone else. So Jonah drops down to 17 right now, and Nida is in the hot seat. Haven't spectated him in a while. Let's see if Nida can make something happen here. We saw him in round 1 using a much different technique on one of the maps. So he definitely knows what he's doing. And as further proof, he's already in the lead in this round. So let's go just a bit further back to see what is going on. We're in here fighting for all of these top positions. Mika Min goes up in the lead, where he usually lives, as we see behind Fallen with a rage quit. So one last player all of these guys have to worry about. Mika in the lead as Takuns makes a pretty big mistake. Drops down from 6th all the way to 10th, but still will be able to take one of the faster ramps. And is still in the fight for the top positions. Oh, Takuns just clips it at the exit there. Shows his disappointment with the horn. So let's just move on from him, so we don't get our ears wrecked. Back to Nida right now. who needs a really good position, and he's doing just that right now. He is in 4th. Gets a really good jump, but then doesn't get the best landing, and will drop down so many places. Let's see, nice little neo slide near the end. Goes into the inside. Oh, so many overtakes there. Loses a position to 0, but overtakes Granite, so he will stay in 7th. Not the worst turn of events for him, I think. He will surely be satisfied with 7th after being in the hot spot. This time around, Tankrum winning it with a mid 53. Still far away from Mika's time. Only 2 more rounds left. And let's see, I think these guys might be too far behind. Let's see what Cranhit is doing. He is one of the guys who are still within who can still strike back. They can still definitely catch up to the guys in top 16, but he will need, I think, a top 10 round, or I think he will need both rounds to be top 10 for him if he wants to survive. Gets a really poor start, no exit speed at all out of that section. Right now down all the way to 20th. Can't really afford another mistake in this round if he wants to leave himself with a decent chance of progressing. Goes right first, then left. Definitely makes sense given what the exit looks like, as we see Dieg leaving another player down. And the Cranhit, after a very nice section there, goes up to 11th, fighting with Fontaine Koch for this 10th place. A nice turn again. Can he avoid the mistake Takun's made? No, he can't. He actually does it even worse. Not only does he clip it, he fully crashes, which will cost him so many positions as Pampelmoo leaves. So, given that this is the last map, we are gonna see, I think, even more players leaving when they realize they have no chance of making it through. We saw, I think, Takun's there respawning. That is good news for Cranhit. Makes up a couple of positions there. Still not that great of a round. Will anyone crash in the trees in the end? Looks like everyone does it well this time. And Cranhit finishes in 12th place, with Lasnox winning the round only with a 54. And Jonat not only is in 16 all the time, now he gets the 16 local. Very fitting. Let's see, will he get back into his 16 position? Splug saying that he doesn't understand the magnet. That is not good. So Jonat even up to 14th, and the Meh is on the hot seat with Zerer maybe even out. I think all of these guys are dead. So Zerer, I would say, is the last guy who can realistically make it. It's pretty much between Zerer, Peps, and these couple of guys on 250 whatever. So Zerer will need a huge round here. He needs a top position if he wants to climb back. Or he just needs his direct opponents to make a complete mess of the round and end up at the bottom pretty much. So Zerer risking it there, but that's a terrible line. And he's dead. I think that's the end of the line for him. Let's see what Axlu Peps is doing. Is right now in 10th, so he's still got a chance. Who is he fighting with? Let's see, Meh. Meh is a bit further behind, so this is gonna come down to the wire. Meh will need to step it up if he wants to keep his place, but he does the exact opposite. He makes a mistake, falls down all the way to 17, has to take a save, but TT crashes. So that's one guy Meh has passed. Right now fighting with the L'Enculeur de Mouche. And Sofrak. He does advance a couple of positions. Hard to say whether or not this will be enough. Let's see where actually... Oh, he's wide far ahead. Wide far ahead there. May is only in 15, so it's all gonna be in this end. Who can get this the best? Oh, he's already up to 11th. Great comeback. Can he just not hit a tree? Just go safe. Goes outside even. Will end up in 11th with his direct opponent in 10th. Now Nida in 15 gets only 19 points. So he gets 8 more. Nida will stay in front. And I think that's it. Because all of these guys get decent points. I think Meh will be the last one, or Nida. Yep, Nida just barely makes it in 16th place.